Okay, welcome back to the channel. I have a new challenge which I'll show you in just a second. It's something I've already made a little start on just to get my head around it, and thought the guys that follow me might be interested to see this because it's a bit of fabrication involved. So I'm doing a little job for my nephew Ray, who's got a 1.8 VVT Mark II MX5 and he wants to put throttle bodies on it. So I'll flip you around and you'll see what I'm up to. So what we have here is the throttle bodies off a Honda CBR 600R, I believe these are, which are about 40mm in diameter along that plane there. Yeah, you just about see just less than, so about 38 perhaps, which is ideal for a smaller engine because too big, go big and you sacrifice on low down torque. So a nice little set is perfect for a smaller engine. And he sent me this nice cut piece of steel, which is 10mm thick, and we'll make the base. I've already made a little widget here, so I've ground out a hollow there, an oval, which will fit that into perfectly. And when that fits in there perfectly like that, that fits on there perfectly like that. And then we can use a socket like so to round it out again, and off we go. So how do we do this? So you'll notice I've been scribbling drawings, and so what we've got here is each one of these represents these, of course, and each one of these represents the throttle body, and simply drawing up to them we can get an idea of what we want. So here's one I made earlier. So that bit goes there, that bit goes there, and hey presto, we have the beginnings of a throttle body inlet manifold, like so. And that beading, I've put that beading on there with my little tool that's hiding over here, which we bought off Timo, I think. So that's come in handy. We'll start beading some more of those up, and then we just use this silicone hose end to make a connection between the lot. So that's my challenge. Now the challenge we do have, of course, is keeping this flat when we weld it, because this will warp and that won't be any good, and keeping the tops of these in perfect place so they'll line up nicely with those when they're done. So I'm gonna have to make a jig of some description for that. And this lovely piece of RSJ I think is gonna be the kiddie for that, because that's gonna help to keep things flat. If I drill that and bolt the flange down to that, I think that'll do that nicely. So I'm grateful to Granville who's given me that. He found that kicking around in his barn, and he knew I was after one, so thank you Granville, appreciate that very much. And the tube I'm using is this stuff I bought for making the manifold on the Escort, the exhaust manifold. So I've got plenty of it left. It's got a bit of surface rust on it, but that's soon clean up. And that's just the perfect diameter to fit in there, and with a clamp on that and with our beading, that should be just there or thereabouts. Slightly large, but it will squish down surprisingly nicely. Get a nice even clamp on that, a decent clamp on that, and that'll come down nicely, and that fits on the carb, or on the throttle body I should say, just perfectly. So that's the challenge, and hope you enjoy it. I've not made a manifold, inlet manifold before. I made the exhaust manifolds, of course, so inlet manifold in principle should be thereabouts the same. It's going to be made in steel, of course, because I cannot weld aluminium. I don't have a TIG welder and I don't have that ability, and I'm not really prepared to shell out hundreds of pounds to find out I can't do it, so I stick to what I know. And yes, I have made an impromptu bench out of my tyres. I've cut off some random bits of tube, choose the squarest edges of my cuts, and we'll put some what do you call it, a flange, not a flange is it, a bell on there, or whatever you'd call it, and only go that way around. just like that. And that works an absolute treat. So we do the other two of those. It's only cheap and cheerful machines, I don't go too harsh with it, just a small turn each time. So you notice on the pattern I've got these lines along here like this. That gives us our how you want to cut them. So if we put that on there, for example, and draw, these are almost straight as it happens, from there to there, across there like so. That's the angle we want to cut that one. This one shouldn't be too dissimilar. And so on and so forth. And then once they're cut, theoretically we should be able to use the other piece then, spun round, to line us up onto there. So I'll cut those off, simply just to cut those off from the vise with a hacksaw and come back. Now with those are cut, you can see what we want to do next. So those are basically there or thereabouts where we want them. They'll be fine tuning yet. So what we want to do with the next ones is cut them to suit the actual manifold flange next. And a little trick for putting this in the vise without squashing it, because at the moment we don't want to squash it, just get a nice snug fitting socket, put it in there so you don't put it in so far that you're cutting into it, and then you're away. And what I try to do as well is, if I have my cut line vertical, that kind of helps me with how I cut it. And if we just cut along there now and then follow it round and leave it guide itself down. Like I just said, don't do that. Like so. Lovely. So that's our pieces in place. Now of course, what we need to do next is make that oval like I've made that one. So I'll show you how I did that. Now it's quite simple. We stick it in a vise and we squeeze it. And using our bit of our socket, so we know where we want to go. Let's make sure we're doing the right one. Yeah. So put a bit of socket in the end of there to keep that as round as we can. It doesn't have to be round all the way up, just somewhere. And then simply squash it down in the vise. And then this is what this bit's for. So we can check it and keep working with it now until we make it fit that snugly. So as long as it fits in there snugly and it fits around there snugly, you can hammer that in to suit that. We are happy. And another socket, so we've got the inside edge that you want as well. So it's just a matter of potching about with different things to get what you want it to do. What I want to do with this end, silly and short, yeah, is to bring that around a little bit so it looks a bit neater. So you see now that's got a bit of a flow on it, so it'll go into the manifold nicely. So it's a bit of a faff, backwards and forwards, but it does come slowly. What I probably could do with is a form to go in there as well, but we'll have to make do with what we got and do the best with what we can do. Yeah, so that fits in there nicely. So if I get the manifold flange, hopefully you'll see that once that's on there, you'll see that that's a nice snug fit in around there. And then we can use a die grinder then to clean it all up and get it nice so it flows nicely. So that's what I'm going to do with the other pieces. Exactly the same process to get them all looking something like that. So you'll see I've got the car nicely covered up now. So this is blankets underneath here and a tarpaulin over the top. So we'll keep away the sparks of welding and grinding. I've made a start on what I think will work as a jig to hold everything together. So I've marked out the edges of each throttle body and made up cut a bit of exhaust section and welded, focus, and welded on a nut and a tab and what have you, so we can make a clamp that'll fit in there like so. We tighten that up, and as we're tightening it, making sure that is square onto the steel, so that'll keep that section in place. So all four of those will be kept in place when we weld them. So that's the plan. So I'll crack on now with finishing this little jig off and then show you what we got. Okie dokie, so that's all of these now clamped in place, sort of just roughly at the moment. And now we can get an idea of how far or where we're going, whether we're on the right tracks or not, because these are, all of this is critical to be spot on. So the better we can do with the jig, the better we can go with it. So I've got this bolted down to the RS chain now, so that should be nice and solid. So when we come to welding to it, my plan is to warm it up with a blow lamp first, because welding from thick to thin can be a bit of a challenge, especially now we're effectively welding the whole lot, because that's going to heat sink like mad. But hopefully that'll keep everything in check, and when we come to that stage, we'll weld it all up and then leave it all cool down naturally, probably overnight before we take it apart. So with this jig now, the idea is to somehow make that fixable on there. I'm thinking probably, or possibly a threaded rod coming up either side, which you can then alter the height of that, and of course it'll have to be completely removable when it's all welded up. But I'm having a ponder about that. Okie dokie, so this is our jig. Not the prettiest thing, but hopefully it'll do the job. So now you can see everything is bolted down and removable, so I can unscrew that from underneath there, and hopefully that will lift off. And if I pick up one of the pieces, put that in there, weld that up, and we are in the right place. We've dropped a clanger somewhere, because this one and that one don't really want to line up, so we've got some messing about to do, but that's not the end of the world. We can do that. Got this set up now somewhere comfortable, so I've just branched that across there onto the floor so I can get to both sides of it and work at a comfortable height. So I'm happy with how this one's lining up, so I'm going to weld this one in first and see what happens. Dropped the clanger here. I've welded too much on that side. I should have tacked it. It's tipped up. But we can work around it. I'll learn that on the next one. So not very pretty at the moment, because I'm still getting the hang of welding the colder metal onto the thing, but it is welding okay, better than I expected it to be honest. So I'm still dialing in my welder for not using it for a while. And again, coming around here, this will clean up. It's not prettiest yet. I'm still I haven't welded for a while, so this is what tends to happen. You get your hand back in on it, but it's coming. That's the idea. And the nice thing about working with metal is it does move around a lot, so you can, you know, if you've got a bit of a gap, you can work with it, especially like these sort of gaps. So if this opens up here, you can tap that with a hammer and that'll close that gap up nicely, and will actually help with forming that little bit of a curve there, which would be better for flow as well. Okie dokie, that's one down, 3 to go. I'll crack on and weld those up now, and then we can leave it to cool down and then take it apart. So I'll crack on and weld those up, and I'll show you what it looks like when I've done that. Welded up. My welding definitely got better by the time we got to the last one. It's just what happens when I don't weld for a while. I sort of dial myself back into it. It's just, I don't do it day in, day out, so it is just a hobby for me. So we'll leave this cool down now. Give this a good few hours, probably overnight, to cool down, and then we'll take it apart and have a look to see what we've got. Okay, well, it's still in its jig. Made a start using a finger sander to sand it down, so I think I'll carry on and do a bit of that. That's looking half about. But there now, just a quick bit of sanding, so we'll crack on with the rest of them and I'll come back to you. And this is all now absolutely dead stone cold, so I think we're safe to lift this off. Lovely. And a quick check with these because it'd be rude not to. Fab. Okay, let's take that bit off. Nice. Look at the flat edge now. We check to see if that's remained flat. Oh, there we go. This one here will do. Okay, what I might have to do is take that to a machine shop and just give that get that skimmed, just to bring it dead flat. It's not a million miles off, but it's moved more than I thought it would. And it's not like I've pulled this apart too soon. This is all dead stone cold now, so it's quite amazing how much that has moved, even though it was bolted down so tight. Alright, we are done and dusted. So only one thing I want to do now really is do some sort of pressure test on it, make sure it's not leaking air. But I'm pretty confident the welds are okay, but it'd be easy enough to touch up any that aren't. And then of course, once it gets a coat of decent paint, that'll also help fill in any little micros. So that is it, pretty much done. There is a question mark over whether we're going to need to put another port in for servo, either there or the other side. But the injectors here, we could probably make up something from those to pick up a port for the servo, and then this will work as a map port. Might need to do something better with that to make it less pulsy, but that's down the line. For today's work was making that. And I've also been in with a die grinder to smooth out the ports and get those, so hopefully they'll flow nicely. Righto, another little addition is a little port there for the brake servo. We decided to go with this route rather than taking them off the ITBs. And I did a leak test on it, and I had just one small leak, so I'm chuffed with that. So quick weld up, and that's sorted. They're all good. As for this distortion, when I bolt it back down again, it does bolt down flat. So it might be possible if we bolt it from the centre out, it'll be okay. So you have to watch that and see what happens. Like I say, worst case scenario, Ray can take it to a machine shop and they can put a skim on it to flatten it off. It's hardly anything, but it is what it is. Okie doke, all done. Thanks for watching another one. Hope you enjoyed that. It's quite an interesting one for me. It's the first time I've built an inlet manifold. A little bit surprised, perturbed about the distortion. I can only imagine how much worse that would have been if I didn't bolt it down to the RSJ. It's quite incredible. The forces involved with welding and heating up metal and it cooling back down again are astonishing. But hey ho, we'll see how that goes. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and see you on the next one.